This is it, people. This is what you've been waiting for. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast. The podcast for everyday people with everyday problems, trying to find everyday solutions to accomplish everyday goals. Let's start the show. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Podcast, the number one podcast in Oakland, the number one podcast in the Bay Area. And today we have a special guest. When it comes to tattoos, piercings, and rock and roll, you usually think of white girls, you know? Fucking concerts where people are punching each other, hair covering their eyes, baggy black pants, wearing black 365 days a year.
Hey, always.
You know, typical emo shit.
Period.
But today we have the first ever, and I would say the first ever black. She's trying to bring black girls from hip hop into the emo world. Welcome. See your name again?
Sadho the Goddess.
Sadho the Goddess.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
My day's going pretty good. Pretty good.
What were you doing today?
I do Instacart on the side, so I was making some money. Had a nice conversation with my aunt about God. It was
about
nice.
God?
Yeah.
Your aunt's religious?
Yep, we be going to church. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Emo and church, how does that work out?
People think it contradicts, but it doesn't.
No? Okay.
It doesn't contradict.
You said your name is Sadho the Goddess.
Yes.
You want to explain that?
All right, so Sadho the Goddess, I came up with it when I was, I think, 21. I'm about to be 27 next month, so I'm getting there.
Are you there?
I came up with it when I was about 21, and what it means, it's kind of like it has a meaning, but it doesn't. It's kind of subjective. Like, so it first was just Sadho, and sad in itself has a negative connotation with it often. But for me and for my experience in life, I feel that how could you experience true happiness if you've never experienced sadness? You get what I mean?
Wait, say that again. How can you experience happiness if you never experienced happiness?
If you never experienced sadness.
Sadness.
How do you know what happiness is if you've never been sad? Right?
Yeah, well, you can't have happiness without sadness. Yes,
exactly.
It's yin and yang, you know?
It's yin and yang, exactly. So when you are sad, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you got to embrace those feelings sometimes. You know what I mean? It's healthy. Yeah. You can't run away from those emotions that you got to embrace. So that was kind of me kind of reclaiming the word sad. And when we came to Ho, I feel like the word, I like the way it was spelled. It was kind of inspired by when Twitter was using the word art ho all the time, and it was spelling it with H-E-A-U-X. But I also feel like when people use the word ho, like it's so subjective. Like I feel like the word ho, it means something different for everybody. So like, who gives a fuck? I think it does. I think it does. I mean, think about it like this. Like in the freaking 1920s, like you were a hoe if you like showed your like ankles or something, or like the 1800s or something like that. Like it changes over time. Like what that means, it changes over time.
What does hoe mean to you?
To me, think if you don't respect yourself, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have any value for yourself, and you're willing to kind of just like not have boundaries. You know what I mean?
So it doesn't have anything to do with sexuality, do you?
No, I think if you want to go and you want to go sleep with who you want to sleep with, like have fun as long as you're doing it because you want to.
Yeah.
Not because you're doing it because you feel like you need to do that for validation, or you feel like you need to do that because somebody else wants you to do it. You know what I mean? Do it because you want to. If that's what you want to do, claim that. It's fine. But if you're doing it for any outside reasons, then nah. And I also think you're a hoe if you cheating on your significant other. Just be real. Be real. That's whole shit. Like, you know?
We'll get back to that. But it seems like that was, how do I say? Open up some wounds.
No, I think a lot of us have been cheated on, right? I think anybody who's been in a relationship has been cheated on could say, yeah, that's whole shit. Like, why would you do that? Right.
Well, why would you get in a relationship if you know everyone's going to cheat?
Exactly. Well, sometimes people don't know they're going to cheat until later on, and they're not willing to have that conversation.
So where did the goddess part come?
The goddess came from people just calling me a goddess all the time. I would go to, I used to really like to wear these really long skirts and stuff. And like, I would go to like, I used to like, when I was 20, 21, I would like go to First Fridays and like dance in the drum circle and stuff. And so like, whenever I walk around, I used to like to wear, I used to have a crystal jewelry business when I was in college, and I would make a lot of money from that. And I would always wear my stones and stuff. And people would be like, you know, hey, what's up, goddess? Look at that goddess over there. Look at that goddess. And I felt like it just fit. So I just put the goddess at the end. So that was just more of like other people were saying it to me. So F it.
Are you originally from the Bay Area?
Yes, I'm from Antioch.
Antioch? Mm-hmm. Born and raised?
I was born in Hayward. Lived in Oakland till I was about 2. Then my parents bought a house in Antioch. And then I was raised out there up until my dad passed away. And then I bounced around between like Oakley and Brentwood and just bouncing around. But most of my like stable childhood was in Antioch.
You grew up with both of your parents in the house until your dad passed?
Yeah, so they were married. My dad actually was pretty known in Oakland because he was the football coach at Castlemont when they beat Skyline after like...
Was his name Lloyd?
Nah, I know Lloyd though.
Oh, okay.
Big Lloyd.
You know, I graduated from Castlemont.
Did you? Nah, Coach Denny.
Well, I didn't play football.
You didn't play football?
I only knew Lloyd because he was...
he was security, right?
Yeah, he was security guard
I know
also,
Big Lloyd.
yeah.
I grew up around Lloyd. Yeah.
So that's not your dad?
Shout out to Big Lloyd. No, that's not my dad. But he was really, really close to my dad though. So,
okay.
My dad was Coach Denny. And he was very monumental in the community. I watched him myself, like, he would pay for groceries for people who didn't have them. You know what I mean? He would set up these camping trips every fall for the football team. And we would go. He'd bring us too. We'd go camping. They would do conditioning. We'd be having fun, roasting marshmallows, barbecuing. And he played a father figure for a lot of young men in the community because he's from East Oakland too. And he went to Castlemont as well. So that's why he was a football coach and he really wanted to give back to his community. So, I grew up with him up until he passed away. And, my parents, they were married. We had a really nice middle class upbringing up until 2007.
That's when he passed?
Yeah, that's when he passed.
Did you feel any type of jealousy, the attention he was giving to everyone else, and you were like, oh, this is my dad, he should be focusing on me?
Heck no.
Oh, okay.
No, I was on his hip all the time. I'm from Antioch, but I was halfway like always in Oakland because I was on the football field with him while he's coaching. You know what I mean? The football players were kind of like my older brothers. That's how it felt for me. Like I was there, you know, they knew who I was.
So you were like a kid or like a teenager?
I was a kid. Okay. I was a little kid. So he would have us there all the time. He would have us on his hip. He loved his kids. You know what I mean? So like, my mom would bring us out to football practice so that we could go be with him while he was at practice after school and stuff. So that was always really nice. I always loved having that time with him. We'd be at the football games. It's pretty involved. One time I got to go, the cheerleaders, I got to go to their practice and they taught me some routines. I was really there with him a lot. And so he pretty much incorporated his players into our family. You get what I mean? So we weren't really separate, you know, it was all one. So.
Do you want to share how he passed?
He had cancer, colon cancer.
Colon cancer?
Yes. It's actually the number one cancer that kills Black men. And I think, you know, it's important to know that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I had a colon cancer scare.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, it was a scare, so it wasn't a...
Well, I'm glad you're okay, you know. But hey, you know, got to pay attention to that health, you know.
Them colonoscopies, those are not...
They're not fun.
They're not fun.
I have to get them too because of the history of it in my family. So.
I mean, well, I don't know about you, but when I did it, I was asleep. I'm not talking about the actual going through it, but I'm talking about preparing for the colonoscopies, like cleaning out your system.
That's the worst part.
That's hell.
Nah. Going through it though, I woke up in the middle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I was freaking out. I know. I know.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
To explain that. Oh.
Woke up in the middle and I was like, and they're like, oh my gosh, go back to sleep. And then I went back to sleep and then
How the fuck you just gonna go back to sleep?
I don't know. I went back to sleep. Wow. But after the procedure, I was like, I remember waking up. They were like, you're not supposed to remember that. And then they explained to me that I was only partially sedated, basically like a huge dose of Benadryl. And I feel like maybe I should have told them that I smoke a lot of weed. And that maybe would have affected like what they would have given me. Maybe I needed something heavier because I for sure woke up mid-procedure just traumatizing. But hey, you got to go through it. Take care of your health. I'll do it again.
Exactly.
Make sure I'm good.
Are you mixed race?
No.
Okay.
I have like, I don't consider myself mixed race, even though I have like some great grandmothers who are native, but I don't consider myself mixed. Both of my parents are Black. I know I'm lighter skinned, but both of my parents are darker skinned, and I just came out light.
Yeah, it's giving Black and Mexican.
A lot of people say Black and Mexican, or they say Black and Asian, but I think that some of those features in like my eyes, I actually get from my Haitian side on my mom's side. I think my bone structure, that sticks out, I think, a little bit from the Native American far back, but it's not too far back, actually. It's just few generations. It's enough to have pictures, you know. But for the most part, I consider myself Black. I'm not mixed, not biracial. I barely really claim that Native part. I only really say that to explain why I look the way I look.
I mean, well, even if you were mixed, you would say Black anyway, because the Black is the dominant gene. No matter what you mix it with.
I mean, I'm not mixed, so I don't know how mixed people be identifying. Yeah. I don't know what that's like. I'm Black, so I only know what it's like to identify as a Black person, and I am proudly Black, pro-Black, period.
So, in high school, what type of woman were you? What type of girl were you in high school?
So when I was in high school was different for me because originally when I was in Antioch, very different experience. Antioch was super, super diverse. I grew up with all different kinds of kids that like all different races. Like I literally thought racism didn't exist anymore. I literally thought it was over. And that was up until I moved.
But explain to the people where geographically Antioch is compared to Oakland.
So to get to Antioch from Oakland, you're going to take Highway 24 through the Caldecott Tunnel, through that way, past Walnut Creek, take the junction of Highway 4, and you're going to go past Pittsburgh and Bay Point.
Oh, so then
you'll reach Antioch. Yeah. Okay. So it's right next to Pittsburgh. Yes.
Okay.
So that's originally where I was from. And then when my dad passed, we lost our house and then we had to move. So we ended up moving to Oakley, which is the town over. And if you don't really know much about that area, Antioch was really diverse, but Oakley and Brentwood were very white. You know, I didn't really know that till I moved. And that was the first time, like middle school, I walked into the classroom and it was all white kids. And I'd literally never seen a classroom like that. So then middle school was pretty crazy because I was me first learning how to deal with racism. But then by the time I got to high school, I kind of understood like how to deal with it. And I was pretty...
What type of racism was you facing?
Ooh, do you... Man.
Like people calling you nigger and shit?
Yeah, I was called nigger all the time. I was called Chewbacca. Yes, Chewbacca, Africa, Jamaica, Gorilla. I still remember all that. Medea. I remember all that shit. And then like the thing is like, I remember one time it would be unprovoked. I wouldn't even know these kids. Well, I'll be in PE. We're doing kickball. It's my turn to go up. In the group of boys, I don't even know, right? They say, hey, Aaliyah, for Africa. That type shit. Just because I'm Black, you know what I mean? Or there's a Black person in the room and they're making Black jokes, so they look right at me and then they start saying stuff. Or you know, I remember.
And you were the only Black one around?
No, there was a couple more, but like at first middle school, there was literally like in the 6th grade, there was one other Black girl and then this other girl who ended up being my best friend who was mixed. But as far as like just Black girls, it was just me and that one girl. And it was really weird because she moved there too from another place. I came from Antioch where I didn't really understand racism. She came from a place where I think she was at like a Mexican school. She was the only Black girl there. So we actually didn't really get along at first. She was kind of mean to me at first. I was weird. I was a weird kid, a little nerdy kid. You know, I liked weird stuff. You know, I was kind of goofy. You know, I was one of those. So we didn't actually really get along. I didn't really have that many friends. My first friend actually was this white girl who had just moved there from Concord. So we were all new kids, just kind of like, oh, we're all new. All these other kids know each other. Like, let's just talk to each other just because. And this other Asian girl who just came there from a Catholic school and she's like, I'm new too, like, whatever. Like, and then eventually we all end up making our own separate friends and we go on. But at first it was very... It was so weird. It was so weird. It was like entering a whole new world and I had to learn how to adjust. I couldn't be the person I was at my old school. I had to toughen up more. I had to stand up for myself. I had to speak up for myself. I had to learn how to navigate a whole nother community that I didn't know existed. You know what I mean? And then both of my parents, my mom is from EPA and my dad is from Oakland. And at this point, my dad passed away. My mom, she did not grow up how we were growing up. East Palo Alto. And so, and when she was growing up, man, EPA was the hood. Like now it's home of Facebook, but it was the hood. So they don't really understand what it's like to grow up in a white space. You know what I mean? So as an adult now, I actually have conversations with my mom where I describe what my childhood was like compared to hers growing up in a white town, which she didn't experience.
Did you, when all this shit was going on, did you come home and like talk to your parents like, this what's going on in school? Like, it's fucking me up?
No, because my dad had just died. We were going through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on at home. I didn't have a good relationship with my mom. We have a better relationship now, but we did not have a good relationship growing up. So I was kind of alone, you know? A lot of the time I have little sisters. I'm second oldest. I have 5 sisters. I know. My older sister, she had moved out right after my dad died. So then it was just me and the younger ones. And then 2 more came later on. But I found myself kind of with a lot of responsibility. I didn't really have the space to go talk to somebody like I should have. You know what I mean? I had to kind of like watch my sisters, cook food, you know what I mean? Like I can cook really well because I had to cook for my sisters growing up. I know how to make a formula bottle like that. I could change a diaper. I know how to take care of babies because I grew up taking care of babies. Huh?
You don't have kids, do you?
No, I don't have no kids, but I know how to take care of babies because I grew up raising my little sisters. So my experience, I feel like I had to grow up really fast after my dad passed away. So I didn't really have anybody to talk to, which is why I really turned to music and I would just listen to music a lot. You know.
Okay. So middle school, you go to high school. Did it get better or worse?
It got better. It got better because high school, I was in a small town and slowly over the years, there was more Black people moving into the area. So there started to become a little bit more diversity there. So by the time I got to high school, I had a couple solid friends and then I met this other, I was an emo kid. I was always a little emo kid, you know. I used to bring my Nintendo DS to school and play Guitar Hero on it at lunch in middle school. So, and we were all me and my friends were obsessed with, you know, My Chemical Romance and Evanescence and Linkin Park and like, you know, like, yeah, you know, you gotta love them. The OGs, you know what I mean? And so by the time I got to high school, you know, it was kind of weird because I felt like, at first, I felt like I was being made to choose because I remember this one time, a friend of mine who I love her absolutely, but, you know, we were young and she said to me, how can you listen to ratchet rap and emo music at the same time? I was like, because I like it. And she's like, you have to pick one. That's weird. And I was like, no, I don't. But she wasn't Black. She was white. Then I ended up meeting this Black girl and I saw her and I just knew that we were going to be best friends. We've been friends to this day. So I knew we were going to be best friends because she was the only other emo Black girl I had ever seen in my life. But she was a scene kid though. She wasn't emo. She had the rainbow hair, the checkered pants, the super high top Vans and whatnot. And she was a Black girl just like me with glasses and like super different and open being herself. And I was so used to being judged for that. You know what I mean? I think that when you grow up in a white town and you're Black, you feel this kind of pressure to fit a stereotype. And for me, I was raised to really know who I am. I'm not going to force myself into any kind of stereotype. So I think I was looked at as kind of weird because I just liked what I liked rather than hiding that, where a lot of people would kind of hide the fact that they like Evanescence or they might hide the fact that they like a little bit of rock. Well, I was really open with that, you know.
Why do you think Black people... Well, I don't think that it's like this now, but back then when you were in school, why do you think Black kids get judged if they listen to that type of music or live that type of, or follow that culture?
I think that there's a limited, at the time, there was a limited perspective on who Black people were, both in the media, in music, and just in the culture in general. I think that for me, my dad was a Black Muslim. So I was actually born into the Nation of Islam. I converted to Christianity, but I was born to the Nation of Islam. My full name is Aliyah Mahassan Denny. And I was really taught to know who I am. I was taught Black history. I was taught to be proud of myself. I also was sheltered away from the negative aspects of Black culture, the things that kind of like get pushed to the forefront of our community. I was sheltered away from that. So my whole perspective of my identity as a Black person was so positive growing up that I didn't feel weird stepping out of a zone, out of a comfort zone or anything like that. Rather than, I feel like when you get fed just perspectives of what other people think Black people are, rather than the facts of who we are, you know what I mean? You kind of get stuck in like a box of like, who am I supposed to be? Rather than, I feel like I always knew who I could be, and I could be whoever I wanted. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I noticed, because I don't think a lot of people, not only think, I know a lot of people weren't raised the way that my dad raised me, to be so aware and so conscious and so like proud of myself as a Black woman and as a Black person, you know, from such a young age, you know, like in first grade, when I first went to school, actually I think it was first grade or kindergarten, one of those, they told me not to say the Pledge of Allegiance, my parents. And this is like 2003, okay? And they said, right, they said, and I said, and they said, if they ask you why, you tell them because there is no justice for all. And that is what was really my dad's doing, but they were very adamant on me not saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And so when I said that, it shook the teachers. They were like, what?
I never said that shit either.
They were like, what? Like, what does she mean? Who told her to say this? Like, because this is the early 2000s, you know what I mean? And I'm just a little kid. I'm like, hey, this is what my parents told me. Listen, I'm finna listen to what they told me, you know what I mean? Now it's reasonable to say that, but way back when, I was getting taught stuff that I feel like people are now newly being taught, you know? So I kind of had a different idea of who I was compared to other kids, and I could see that that struggle in other people that I didn't really necessarily struggle with. I feel like I have two sides of myself. I like hip hop. I can go out there and be in a mosh pit, and I can also go throw it back at the club. Like I can do both, and I don't have no shame with that. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I have to fit into any kind of box, you know? But I think sometimes when you have such a limited perspective of who Black people are, you feel that way. However, let me also add this in. I have my degree in Black Studies. So I do have a little upper hand on that perspective as well. I did go to Cal State East Bay. I got my degree, spent 5 years studying that. Shout out to East Bay. Shout out to my department. Shout out to all the professors. Shout out to Bayham. And shout out to Shada Akbarian, period. But yeah, so love my school, loved my department, loved my experience. And yeah, I think even growing up that way with my dad and being taught that way is what pushed me to want to get that degree. You know what I mean? Once I knew that it existed, I was like, wait, I can go study being Black? Oh, period. Let me go do that. What you talking about? And it was great. So, yeah.
So the emo, describe, I mean, everyone hears the word, right? But what
does it mean to me?
What makes you an emo?
All right. So I have to kind of like, I'm going to say this. I wouldn't put myself in the box of like the kind of like new aged alternative, the younger folks, because I think it's different for them. For us, when we were younger, we didn't actually call ourselves emos. It was actually a slur. People would call us that to bully us. Like, oh, you're an emo kid, go cut yourself, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Older people who were there and that were quote unquote emos at that time, we call ourselves that now as kind of like a reclamation, like, oh, we were emos, like with pride. You know what I mean?
Do you remember, don't interrupt you, but you remember that movie, The Craft?
Yes. I love The Craft.
Do you consider them emo girls?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Those are not emo girls. I think that was actually before emo, because The Craft was the 90s and emo didn't come about to the 2000s. But they're more grungy goth vibes. But yeah, so emo is more of like, how do you explain it? I can only really explain it through experience. It's like one thing that I always point out, and when I talk to my old friends and stuff, is that what really brought us together was the music. Nowadays it's the fashion, but back then it was the music. What a lot of people don't know is like, you know, a lot of emo kids, like we were broke. All we could really afford was one black hoodie that we were going to wear every day, and maybe a streak of blue that we got from box dye at Walgreens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't balling. Hot Topic was expensive and still is. You know what I mean? Like, we could probably get some Hot Topic gifts for our birthday or Christmas or something.
Girls used to steal like a motherfucker.
You used to steal from Hot Topic. Oh, you think the white girls used to steal? Oh, the white girls be stealing. Okay.
Stealing earrings, all types of shit.
They used to steal everything from Hot Topic, hair dye, all of that. So you have a lot of kids who, like, you know, it's not about the fashion for us. It was about the music, and it was about what we were going through. So a lot of the music that we listened to, it was emotional. That's what emo is short for. So it was emotional music. It was sad music. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what it's short for. Yeah, that's why they used to call us emos, because we were sad and cut ourselves. Well, it was like stereotype, but it's because we were sad kids who kind of like grouped together in a way. Like, you know, I was going through a lot at home. A lot of my friends were going through a lot at home. And then you have some kids who kind of, they don't have perfect lives, but they have a little bit easier of a life than you do. You know what I mean? And so those kids, they don't really relate. You don't really feel how they feel. And then you have these other kids who do feel how you feel. And then you guys hear music, and that music is so comforting. You know what I mean? And that music is really what keeps you going, and you relate on that. And that's where the emo culture came from. It didn't come from just a fashion. The fashion came after, you know what I mean? The fashion was inspired by all different things and came together, but the music is really what brought emos together. So there's really no specific look to being an emo. It's really, you had to be there to be a emo
Can you
kid.
be a happy-go-lucky white girl with not a problem in the world and still be emo? Or do you think this bitch don't
I
belong?
feel like I think that when we were younger, we would, you know, we're older now, we're mature, but when we were younger, we would call people like that posers because they were into it for the fashion rather than they didn't really relate to what we were going through. They didn't really understand. And I'll say this too, back then, I was called a poser just because I was Black.
Yeah.
I wasn't validated because I was Black. Oh, I just want to be like the white kids. Like, no, I just like this stuff. I actually got into rock music and emo music before my dad died, before I even moved to a white town. The first time I ever heard a rock band, I was in first grade, and Music Choice was coming on MTV, and me and my older sister would get ready for school together. She was an 8th grader, I was a first grader.
Old school.
Every morning, the music video for Green Day's Wake Me Up When September Ends would come on, and we would go watch that shit together.
That's in every teen movie.
Every time, and I was
back in the day.
obsessed. I was obsessed. Then YouTube came about. And I started dabbling in YouTube. And then my dad had got me SingStar, this game for PlayStation 2. And that's how I found My Chemical Romance and Evanescence and all these other bands. And I would just sing those songs nonstop. Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne was on there. I was just sing them nonstop. I was in like 2nd grade, I think. And that was my stuff. And then, but then my dad got sick with cancer, and YouTube came about, got more popular, and I started looking up all these songs that I like. And then I found this song called Cancer by My Chemical Romance. And it's describing dying of cancer and the struggle and the pain with that. And I was a kid, and that was the first time I heard something that put into perspective what my reality was at the time. And so that's what really got me in, I was like, wow, this music really talks about what I'm going through. And so I just started finding more and more that really just resonated with what I was going through. And that's why I really got so deep into it, especially when I got older. So
do you have more dark thoughts than happy thoughts?
No, I would say I have more hopeful thoughts. I would say that I used to have more dark thoughts than happy thoughts. I would say I was very depressed when I was a kid. I used to self-harm. I had an eating disorder. I had major anxiety. I dealt with a lot at home. So it was just me trying to find ways to escape all the time. And I really didn't, I was holding on to a sliver of hope. And honestly, it was really one teacher in high school, Mr. Bowden, my avid teacher, shout out to Bowden, my avid teacher, who he looked at me because I brought my progress report in, because you had to bring those in to get them checked by your teacher for avid. It was a college prep class.
Yeah.
And I had like straight D's and F's. And he literally he chewed me out in front of everybody. He's like, "You're not stupid. What the heck is this? Like, you are better than this. You're smarter than this." Mind you, I was a freshman. I barely knew this teacher. But he was telling me that he was telling me what I knew. I was smarter than this, and I was better than this. And it kind of pissed me off, because he was this white man telling me this and going on me like, "You know what, Bowden, screw you. I'm finna do better." And I did better. And I ended up being principal's honor roll, straight A's by the time I was a junior, in like face of like avid. And I would speak to all the younger students and tell them what my process was. But it was that teacher who saw that I was struggling and saw that I really needed that reality check. And he was such a support for me through high school that I don't think, if I did not have that class, if I did not have avid or that teacher, I wouldn't have even made it to college, you know? So, and it was teachers like that, advisors like Miss Johnson, the advisor for the club I was president of. I was president of Be the Change Club in high school. And she was absolutely amazing, an angel. So there are certain like people on campus, teachers, that if I didn't have them around, like I wouldn't have had as much hope, you know?
Did you ever go to therapy when you were in high school?
No, I actually started therapy 3 years ago. Yeah, I have an amazing therapist. I had a therapy session this morning.
So you're an advocate of therapy?
Yes. I'm actually about to start my master's program soon to become a therapist. So
do you think everyone needs therapy?
Yes.
Everybody?
Yes. Because it's not about what people think it is. It's not, oh, there's something wrong with me, so go in there and fix it. It's like a journey. It's like a journey. My therapist, I love my therapist. I have a Black therapist. Her name is Darcel. I love her. She's like family. When you go in there, I'm just like, oh, Darcel. You know what I mean? I just talk about life, and it's really nice to have somebody to reflect with that doesn't know you personally, doesn't know all the details of who you are, didn't grow up with you, isn't in your personal life that you have to see outside of anything, just to kind of talk and reflect. Sometimes, it's people like doing that by themselves, but it is helpful a lot to kind of talk to somebody else, especially if you need another perspective. I think especially for Black folks, from the trauma, the generational trauma that a lot of us have gone through, I think it'd be healthy for more Black people to experience Black therapy. I think we need more Black therapists, and we need more Black people experiencing therapy with Black therapists. That's what I'm a real big advocate for.
Do you think therapy is getting used just because it's a trendy thing? Like everyone's like, oh, therapy, I'll go to therapy. Everyone's saying it now just because it's a trendy thing to say now.
Okay, yes. I do think that some people make it trendy. Like that app BetterHelp.
Because
I heard that app BetterHelp is like not good. Those like
wait a minute now. We're sponsored by BetterHelp.
Are you?
Yes. Shout out to BetterHelp.
I'm so sorry. You can cut that out.
No, I don't edit. But yeah, we're sponsored by BetterHelp.
Shout out to BetterHelp. Go get you some help.
If you ever need therapy, go to BetterHelp and you can get a 10% discount if you use our discount code. Everyday Celebrity.
Cut that out.
No, I mean, shit, if you feel like it's bad, it's bad. I ain't cutting it out.
I mean, that's only what I've heard. I've never experienced it. So don't take my word for it. Experience it yourself. But I think that sometimes trends do push people towards like, oh, well, let me just try this and maybe it'll solve all my problems. When in reality, like, you have to be ready for therapy. You have to be ready for that journey. You have to be ready to find the right therapist, because therapy is not a one-way stream. It's a two-way stream. There's work that you're doing and there's work that the therapist is doing. And part of that work that you're doing is accountability. And it's being able to look at where you went wrong and where you could have done better. And maybe there's a situation where something may have happened to you, but how could you have set better boundaries for yourself? And how can you set better boundaries for yourself in the future? You know what I mean? I think there's that level of accountability that a lot of people aren't ready for. And,
what was the reason for you to start therapy?
Childhood trauma. And also, I was in a very abusive relationship in college with a guy who I now have a restraining order on. But it was very traumatic.
Physical abuse?
Yes, physical, mental, emotional, just lots. He was older than me. I was young. I was struggling a lot. He would manipulate my experiences and like actual shit that was going on with like my family and trauma and stuff to really make me more attached to him in ways like saying, oh, even your mom, nobody will love you like I love you. Your mom doesn't even give a fuck about you. Look, that's why you're here. Like shit like that, where it's like when you're young, you're 20 years old and like you just got out into the world, you're in college, you're trying to figure stuff out, and this like older guy, you're a young girl, this older guy's telling you all this shit, and like you don't really have much support, you don't really have much help. It was very traumatic. And but I had to step out of that. And when I went to therapy, it was a lot of me getting over being mad at myself, because at a certain point, to get out of those kind of relationships, you have to take accountability. You have to take accountability for the fact that you're keeping yourself there. It's the truth. It's the truth. A lot of people don't want to say that.
Someone will get mad at you for saying that.
They will get mad at me for saying that, but I got out of it.
Because they don't believe that when you tell them the truth.
This man strangled me. I have a restraining order on him. I have permanent damage to my throat. I had to relearn how to sing. I stayed in that relationship longer than I needed to. He put his hands on me multiple times before. It's true. I was in my feelings over him. I was putting my feelings for him over my own safety and my love for myself. I didn't love myself. So and a lot of people aren't ready to say that.
What made you leave? What was the last straw? Was there an action, or would you just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm out. Or did you guys get in a fight like Ike and Tina in the limousine?
So we're going to spill some tea. So actually, the final straw was I got pregnant. I did want to keep it. but he was very adamant on me not keeping it. And I am very adamant on not having children with people who don't want to have kids.
Oh my God.
So
Thank you.
I did not keep it, even though I had to go through that myself. I'm not finna bring a child into this world whose father does not want it. That's stupid. But I find out actually.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
Listen, I got a lot of opinions that a lot of people might not like, but I just be speaking facts. Shoot.
I had a whole argument with a girl. I don't mean to cut your story off, but I had a whole argument with a girl about that same shit, and she was telling me like the man just needs to upfront like give me everything and all this other shit. And I'm like, I don't know how the conversation ended up getting into kids, but I'm like, you have a child. How come you didn't? Because she was saying like I pick good men, and I was like, okay, well you have a child that you're not with a dude that you're not with. And then that led to something else, and then whatever. So continue your story.
I think I'm very adamant on. I've seen this TikTok video that I really love, and this girl says, "I don't support all women. Some of you bitches are dumb," and I'm very adamant on that because we need to have accountability. The fact of the matter is, if you bring a child into this world with somebody who does not want it, all the trauma based on that other person not wanting the kid, you got to deal with that now. Yeah. You know what I mean? That child has to come into the world with that. For me, even though it was hard for me to make that decision, I was not going to watch my child go through that. Then I find out a month later.
But wait a minute. So you wanted the kid, he didn't want it, and and you didn't have the kid because he didn't want it. But did anything factor in like the fact about the type of man that you would have a child with?
Yes. Okay. It was he didn't want it, but also I thought about the fact that do I really want to have a kid with like somebody who's gonna be this kid's gonna be watching me get beat up. But I think sometimes what people don't understand, especially like I think a lot of men don't understand this part. When you are a woman and you're pregnant, there's already so many hormones that come in there. And like, you know, I'm in the middle of pro-choice and pro-life. I'm very on the just don't get pregnant because there is trauma that comes from abortion. There is that people don't like to talk about. I will say for myself, I felt the moment that life left my body. I did. I felt it. It was very traumatic. It was very emotional. Then once you have an abortion, what people don't talk about is you kind of go through your body kind of thinks you gave birth. So now you start having these hormonal things where you kind of want to cradle something or you want to like do this. So I'm cradling my dog to sleep and crying. I'm cradling my pillow to sleep and crying. And I'm going through these emotions and I'm having to deal with that alone. And I think that a lot of people don't talk about that side of abortion that needs to be talked about. And I think that when you are pregnant and you have that feeling and you know that it's there, you have all this hope that sometimes, you know, we be the Lulu. It can make you see all the hope over the reality. You know what I mean? And so I'm very accountable for my Delulu though. Even though I was seeing some potential hope, I was like, nah, bro, like, let me just not do this. And I'm glad I didn't do it because I found out a month later, he didn't want to have the baby with me because he secretly had his side piece pregnant. And she named her baby after me. Crazy.
What?
Yeah, she's crazy as hell.
Damn.
Yep. Crazy.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got how do we veer off to that, but
the final straw for the relationship.
Oh yeah, final straw for the relationship.
That was it. It was that.
So when your father passed, was this a big change in who you were as a person? Like when he died, you said you started to get into music and shit, right?
I got really sad, you know? I was a depressed kid and I didn't know I was depressed, you know? So I didn't know how to deal with that. I started feeling like there was something wrong with me. And now I can look back and there wasn't anything wrong with me. I was grieving, you know? But I didn't have support. Yeah. So yeah, it did change me. But I wouldn't say that it changed me morally. I still really hold on to everything that my dad taught me. I won't say that I'm perfect at everything, but I try my best to be as best as I can. You know what I mean? And I always have. I know that sometimes I make mistakes. I've made mistakes in the past, but for the most part, yeah, like it changed me in a way that any child would change because their dad died, who they had a great relationship with. So, and especially a young girl at a time when I'm about to go to middle school, I'm about to hit puberty, or I'm just hitting puberty, actually. I'm about to go to middle school, starting to, people are pointing out that I'm not pretty and all these other things and things that you might want your dad around for, to have your back and say and show that, hey, I'm here to protect you. You know what I mean? And I didn't have that. I had to kind of really toughen up and protect myself. So it changed in those ways, but me in my heart, I'm still the same old Leah. I'm still that me. It's still me. I'm just stronger now. That's what I say.
When did you start making music?
I started making music when I was like 5. I have videos of me like singing and stuff when I was like a kid. I wrote my first song when I was like little, and my dad was like, those like preset songs on the piano on the keyboard.
Yeah.
He would like pretend to play. I have a video on my Instagram. He would pretend to play, and then like I would sing my song, and it was like, I remember the words. It's like, I'm falling in love. I'm falling deep in love with you. And that was pretty much all the words.
Well, you do music now, but you do it in a more serious
in a more serious way.
When did you start making music like seriously?
Seriously, I always wanted to, though. That's the thing. I always wanted to. When I was a kid, I always wanted to make music. I just had to learn, And so I listened to music a lot to get me through what I was going through growing up. And then at one point, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to just listen to the music. When I was 15, I taught myself how to play guitar. And so I started doing a lot of covers of other people's songs. You know what I mean? But I think that same year, the next year, got into a really big fight with my mom. I went to my room and I like trashed like my whole room. And then I wrote a song. And I wrote a song about my dad and how I felt about him passing. And that was the first song I ever wrote. Like a full-on song. It's the first song I ever wrote. And it was because I couldn't listen to anything that would make me feel better. I had to write something. So I wrote that song, and I actually, my senior year, won the talent show with that. Okay. So, yeah.
What's the name of the song?
I called it A Letter to Daddy. There's a little video for it on YouTube. With little clips of me and my sisters when we were young with our dad and stuff, and then me playing guitar in high school, singing along. Because my film teacher, when I won the talent show, I was in advanced film in high school, and he made me make a music video for the song so they could play it on our video announcements because we had those at our school. So,
do you think there's a void that needs to be filled when it comes to Black women and the alternative rock and roll space? Or do you feel like no one gives a fuck?
I think that, so it's kind of weird right now because from my perspective, I see a lot of people dress alternative, but they don't really make like the music. You know what I mean? So in that world, you have a lot of that. But in the world of people actually making like the music, like pop punk bands and stuff, like one of the main like fronted Black singer pop punk bands I could think of is Meet Me at the Altar. Have you heard of them?
No.
They were on the cover of Alternative Press magazine, which is
They're Black?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, the lead singer is Black. I think one of the band members is Latino, and then I think another one might be mixed. But I know the lead singer, she's a Black girl, and amazing. And they have performed at when we were Young Fest. They're actually networking more along with if Warped Tour still exists, they would have been on Warped Tour. And I love to see that. You know what I mean? There were some other bands that, man, I can't even think of the names of them back when I was younger that had a couple Black girls in the bands and stuff. And then I remember when I was in high school, there was one of my favorite bands. They were called Issues. And there's these two twins, Ty and Sky, who were in the band. They were both Black. One played the keys, the other one was on bass. And I loved them because there was not much representation. I would say that when I still go back and I listen to that kind of music that I grew up on, I don't really see a lot of Black people in there. You know what I mean? I don't. I see some in I'm starting to see more, but I don't think there's not a lot as much as people think there is, because people dress alternative, but they don't actually make the music. You know what I mean? So I do think that there is still a void, but I think that it's not really getting acknowledged the way that it should. But that's because, the community of Black emo kids when I was around was so small. It's so small. A lot of us are it's so small. This is a whole new community now. That's kind of basing everything off of videos and pictures of what they see we used to do rather than actually being there. So I think it's like it's almost like two different worlds. So
do you think there's a lot of Black women out there doing music? They just don't get the exposure because the gatekeepers are keeping them from it.
Yes.
Because you got country music, right? You know how Beyonce came out with the country album, and then everyone, all the country people were giving her backlash, like, "Oh, this ain't country. We don't want her doing country." And then you got, you ever heard of Shabuzi? That Black dude that with the dreads, he does country, but he doesn't look like a country singer.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then K Michelle tried to do country, and then when she first started, they didn't want her to perform. They weren't playing her music on the country radio stations because they were like, "Oh, this ain't fucking country," just because she's a Black girl singing it, right?
Right.
So the question I was asking, like, do you think there's a lot of people out there, but it's just the gatekeepers are preventing them to get the exposure?
Yes. I do think so. I think that the gatekeepers were always there, and now they're kind of like extra gatekeepy in a way where, kind of like how I explained, there's kind of like the more fashion alternative, and then there's the ones who are like into it for the music alternative. You know what I mean? Like you, for example, you can dress super emo, but like you're a trap rapper or you're a drill rapper, but you dress like super emo. It doesn't really have to do with the music. It has to do with the fashion, you know? So I think that people are really...
Uzi.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people... But Uzi takes a little... Didn't he have like Baby Metal on his album and like...
I don't listen to him, but... I mean.
Well, I think he actually does have some influences that are alternative, because he actually brought in like Baby Metal. I think he has a song with Bring Me the Horizon. I'm pretty sure he has a song with Bring Me the Horizon.
Playboy Cardi? That motherfucker gotta be emo. You know who that is?
I know who Playboy Cardi is. I don't really listen to him.
Yeah, it's horrible music, but...
I don't really listen to it though. I know the name. Can I think of a song? I can't think
of a song. But if you would see him, he's definitely giving off emo vibes. And then, because when he first came in the scene, he was like hip-hop New York type shit.
But the fashion, you know, and see, that's the thing. Like, I can't even name people's songs like that. Like, but people would sometimes group me in because I'm Black and alternative. Yeah. You get what I mean? So now I feel like I'm kind of getting grouped into a different box now that I don't really belong to, because I'm Black. Now it's just like, oh, you're one of those hip hop alternatives, huh? It's like, no. And I also look younger than I am, but that doesn't help. But I'm like, nah, I was there. I was there in 2008, man. I went to Warped Tour. I was in the mosh pit. We're talking about, I was crowd surfing, okay? We're talking about, I was there. Listen. All right.
What song? Name a song that makes you cry.
King Park by La Dispute.
What's that song about?
La Dispute is a very poetic rock band, and the song is a POV of somebody watching a drive-by shooting happen, and they accidentally hit a kid, and the guy's all feeling bad, and he's like, crap, I hit a kid, and he's on the run.
This is a hip-hop song?
No, it's a rock song.
Oh, rock song.
And he ends in the bathroom of a hotel with the police surrounding, and his uncle's banging on the door, like trying to get him to come out, and he has a gun, and the final lyrics of the song are literally, can I still get into heaven if I kill myself? Can I still get into heaven if I kill myself? And it's, will I ever be forgiven because I killed that kid? It was an accident. I swear it wasn't meant for him. And then if I turn it on me, will it even it out? Will I still get in? Or will you send me to hell? So it was like, it's really, really deep, but it's also kind of reality in a lot of situations, you know? And so I think that song, I think it's like a 6-minute song, 7-minute song. It's a really long song. But it takes you on a journey. It's like a story, and it's emotional, and it hits, you know? So I actually have that, them tatted right here. This is the La Dispute Lotus right here. They're one of my favorite bands ever. So.
Okay. Okay, so that was going to be my next question. Who's your favorite band?
I can't say I have a one top, this is my favorite of all time. I would definitely have like a group of them. So like Evanescence, My Chem. The Story So Far, if you've ever heard of them, they're a pop punk band from Walnut Creek. They've been around for a long time now, but they're amazing.
Are you in a band?
Am I in a band? I would love to be, but no, I'm not in a band.
How often do you make music?
Well, I work a full-time job, so I wish I could make music all day, but I can't. But I do write songs at work. I wrote something last night. Wrote something a couple days ago. I've been dabbling a little bit in R&B again. But I do mostly make rock. But typically, my music, I don't really make music. I make music and I put it out there, but my music is for me. It's for what I'm going through. You know what I mean? It's for when I need to really express.
Yeah.
So when I really need to express something is when I'll make music. And sometimes if I'm just feeling like, oh, I really like this beat, let me try to make something. If I'm just feeling a little creative, I might make something. But I never really like force myself to, I need to sit down and write a song, because I found that doesn't help me. I found that gives me writer's block. I just got to let myself flow and let life give me a song, because all of my songs come from just life. Or sometimes I just be in a mood to like make a song that's like this, and that's still life, like Anime Baddie. I was just in a mood. I was like, oh, I want to make an anime song. That would be cute. And I was like, okay, let me try that. And that happened to be my top song. So
do you find it more easier to write about dark shit like sadness, heartbreak, and pain, rather than writing about like party music or happy shit?
I can't really write party music because I'm not a partier. I don't really.
Well, I mean,
but
take the party now, but happy stuff, you know what I mean?
I can write. Okay, so I used to struggle with writing happy shit, but I don't anymore. That's because I used to struggle with being happy. I had to figure out how to be happy first. But it was once I think I like writing things that are uplifting. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Either uplifting or I'm talking to myself trying to figure something out. You know what I mean? But it typically will be I'm conquering some kind of battle. That's where I'm at now. It used to be I write really sad shit. Like I have this song called Lost Myself that I wrote when I was like 18. I put it, it's on all platforms. I dropped it I think last year, maybe a couple of years ago. Just say, hey, here's an old song. But that was more on some sad shit. If you go to my SoundCloud, don't go to my SoundCloud. Go to my SoundCloud though. If you go to my SoundCloud and you go really far back, you'll find some sappy shit. Like the first thing on my SoundCloud is called Some Sad Shit I Wrote in My Dorm. Because it was some sad shit I wrote in my dorm. And it was just a spoken word with my guitar. But I find that I just write what I'm dealing with. So if I'm dealing with sad, then that's what I'm writing. If I'm feeling really good, that's what I'm writing. If I'm feeling sad, but I want to feel good, that's what I'm writing. You get what I mean? Yeah. And that's where I'm at really now. I feel like I don't really bask in the sad anymore. I write about uplifting myself, if anything. If I'm feeling down, it's going to be like, you know what, I might be down, but I'm coming out. You know what I mean? Like my song Already Dead, one of my favorites. That's like my revenge era song. It's like, you can't kill me, I'm already dead. Like, what do you mean? I already died. I'm the phoenix rising from the ashes. You can't, I'm just going to keep coming back. What do you mean? Try again, And it might sound like a dark song. It might sound kind of somber, but if you really listen to the words, it's very like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's very uplifting. And so that's kind of what I go for. I have another song called LOL Okay with my little sister. And at first it starts off like, dang, like I'm kind of sad, but you know what? I'm going to be okay. It literally, the words are, I'm going to be okay no matter what the devil's got to say. Like literally. So my songs even if it has a little bit of sadness in there, it ends on, you know what? We going up. You know what I mean? Because I'm really big on like putting in that effort to go forward. You know what I mean?
What do you say about when people say good artists, they're obligated to share their art to the world?
I don't think so.
Like, imagine if Basquiat, Basquiat's different because he was kind of discovered, right? Well, imagine if Basquiat, you know what Basquiat is? Imagine if Basquiat made all those paintings and just kept them in a basement and no one ever saw, or Van Gogh made those paintings and kept them in a dungeon and never saw them, and the public didn't see him, or Michael Jackson made Man in the Mirror, that song, and never put it out.
I'll tell you this. Imagine the amount of people who've already done stuff like that and they never put it out, and we just don't know. Yeah. And the world will go on. I don't think anybody's obligated to put their art out. I think art is... I think somebody who really has a passion for art and is really into the art, it's because it's part of who you are. It helps you exist. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me, and other people happen to like it. You know what I mean? That's why I always tell people, I'm like, I don't care about fame. I actually don't want to be famous. That's like the last thing I want. If I could blow up in like Japan or something and I'm like famous there, I'm fine with that. But like, I'm not trying to be some big American celebrity type thing. You know what I mean? I'm in it for the music.
Fame and notoriety, I think, is two different things.
Right,
you want to be known, but you don't want to be famous.
Yeah, like I don't mind being known, but I want to be able to walk in Walmart.
Yeah,
with my bonnet on.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you have those experiences with people when you just like. I don't like how people treat celebrities sometimes when they put them on this pedestal like they're not a normal human being. It's like, yeah, they're very, very talented, but they're still a human. You know what I mean?
Well, some people say when you become a big celebrity, your life is no longer your life; it's the public's life.
I think, yeah, that's why I don't want to be a big celebrity. I don't want to be obligated to say things that are going to make all the public feel good. And I don't want to feel obligated to just live my life according to how everybody wants to view me. I don't care. And I'm going to hurt people's feelings, and then they're going to cancel me. So I'm just like, don't make me famous. I will get canceled.
or you might blow up more because there's not a lot of people who, especially women, who are not scared to go against other women's ideas, you know?
Yeah, I think, I will say that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I, only from my own experience and from my own upbringing and my own experiences with my own mom, do I feel like there's a lack of accountability amongst us as women that we got to sit down and be like, girl, shut up. Like, I think sometimes we coddle each other when we should be being real with each other. You know what I mean?
Give me one thing that you don't believe that, like, the mainstream, one woman's issue that you don't agree with that basically every other woman agrees with.
Oh, they're gonna hate me.
And you don't have to be politically correct.
Hate me. I don't care. They're gonna hate me. I don't think every woman is at the same level of value. It just is what it is. I think that in my perspective, I don't want to date a man that is fucking every bitch in the city. Okay? I don't want a man who has slept around the whole block and he's got his thing out on the internet. So it doesn't make sense for people to believe that you can go be a porn star and then have a huge option men to choose from. A lot of people don't agree with me on that. They will literally try to cancel me. You're anti-woman. It just doesn't. I think it's very hypocritical because you don't want a man that's going to go be sleeping with everybody, do you? So
what if they say it doesn't just work? And I never only sleep with people for work. And
that means that you're going to have to find somebody who's going to be okay with that. But you're going to also have to accept that a lot of people are not going to be okay with it. Yeah. And they're not willing to do that.
So it's like the Lana Rhoades idea where this girl blew up on porn and she only did porn for like 2 or 3 months. She only did, and then she quit. And she blew up because she was like finer than the average porn star, white girl, fat ass, black girl features, right? But she was white. She blew up and then she stopped porn. And then she now complains that she wished she never done it, but all of her stardom came from being porn. And she cries about not being in a relationship, men not taking her seriously.
I think the difference is, see, I'm about to be 27 years old. When I was young, slut shaming was a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was young, you knew that if you did porn, a lot of guys wouldn't want to date you. Why is this a surprise now? Why are you now, oh my gosh, I didn't think this was going to happen, when this was always a known fact?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I'm a big on bring shame back. I think that like if we have shame, then we have like organization. We have like stability. And I'm not big on bullying people, but I think you should have personal shame. You should have boundaries for yourself and morals. You know what I mean? And like I said, my morals don't have to be everybody's morals. Hey, to each its own. This is how I feel. You know what I mean? This is just how I feel. And I'm going to always say how I feel. I'm not telling everybody that they got to think how I think, but this is just me.
Yeah, a lot of porn stars nowadays, they're the celebrities now. They're famous as fuck.
Right. And I think as me as a young woman, I was taught to value my brain over my looks from my father. I think that because I had a really great father who showed me a lot of love and showed me a lot of value, I don't accept being hypersexualized or only valued for my body.
Well, that's the missing factor. You had a strong black male in the house.
I don't have fatherless behavior going on. Now, listen, I do feel bad for people who like maybe they sent some intimate videos to a guy and then they got exposed or something. I don't think that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's not porn. That's
right. That's different. If you want to do some personal stuff, that's a whole different thing. But if you're going out and you're actively, I'm going to go make some money from this. You got to know what the consequences are. You got to know that a company is not going to put you as a spokesperson for their baby care when you're popping it on the dad's laptop. You know what I mean? I think that might cause some issues in the home. You know what I mean? Like,
you watch porn though, don't you?
Me?
Yes.
Do I? Yeah. I watch porn. But like, hey.
See, I don't talk shit about porn people because I watch the shit.
I watch it sometimes, but I think that
I am realistic, and I'm like, if you do porn, you're probably going to have struggles finding a partner that's going to take you serious. I have
no problem with people going and doing porn. I just am like, you can't sit there and be delusional about what comes with it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's things that come with it. And what bothers me a lot is that people are like I heard about some kid who unalived himself because he was getting bullied because these kids found his mom's OnlyFans and was bullying him at school. And I'm like, what happened to thinking about, oh yeah, like I have kids, so maybe I don't want my kids seeing this. You know what I mean? Like what happened to that kind of idea? I have no problem with sex workers doing their thing, but I think that there's a reality to it that we got to stop romanticizing. And we got to stop romanticizing this. We got to stop romanticizing things that really have ugly sides to it. You know what I mean? And look at the real big picture. And I think a lot of people like to ignore those ugly sides because they're not willing to admit that they can't handle that. They can't handle what comes with it, but they still want to go do it. And that's their problem, you know?
Do you think porn, there's a lot of people out there who say porn should be banned. They just banned porn in Africa. The African president, I forgot what country it was, but it's one of those young African dudes who's like changing Africa right now, and he just banned pornography in his country.
As a woman, yes, I think that it could be beneficial. Is it realistic? I don't think it's realistic, but I think that it could be beneficial only based on, I'll say two things. I have a lot of male friends who like are really good friends, my best friends, even my godbrother. And I think a lot of them say the same thing where they have porn addiction issues. Like men grow up and they're hypersexualized at a really young age. And I don't think that gets talked about enough.
Is it addiction though?
It'd be addiction. Yeah, no.
What makes it addiction?
This is just what I've been told is that there are guys who are realizing, dude, I do this too much. Like, and it's gotten to the point where it's numbed them out to sex to where they have unrealistic expectations for sex. And I think that's realistic. That's true too. I think as a woman as well, I've been taught to value my brain over my body. You know what I mean? And I think that in today's society, my brain is not valued as much as my body is. It's not. That's just the truth. And I think that has to do with how hypersexualized everything is. I think that has to do with all these, every guy, these Instagram algorithms for guys are different than the Instagram algorithms for girls. Instagram algorithm for a lot of guys is asses everywhere, shaking ass the moment they open it up. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what I want to see when I go on Instagram.
Right. Well, see, that's a lot of it. You know what I mean? So if that's all that's getting piled into your face, then like you kind of only really see women in that gaze. And part of the reason why I say that is because when I was raised, I wasn't raised to see any of that kind of stuff. I was raised very sheltered from the negative or inappropriate aspects of Black culture. So I always tell people, I'm like, I literally thought that when I got older, guys were going to be in little quartet groups singing to me like the Temptations. You seen that movie? Yeah, everybody's seen the movie. You know how he's singing to the girl she's walking home? I thought that was going to be me. I really did. I really thought everything was going to be innocent and wholesome. Because
it was like that back in the day.
That's how it was back in the day.
That's your generation that fucked it up.
Hey,
Y'all niggas don't even know how to sing R&B now.
I'm not even gonna say it's our generation that fucked it up because I'm gonna blame what was that? Was that Trip Drill and the credit card going down the ass? BET Uncut. I was a child. All right, let's blame the older ones. Okay?
Yeah,
let's be real.
But when did you see it?
When did I see that?
When did you see that video come on?
Oh,
late at night, right?
Yes, but I actually didn't.
But nowadays, where can you see that video?
Everywhere.
24/7 everywhere.
Yes, but it started with that. Yeah.
And you was up when you weren't supposed to be up.
I wasn't up. I actually wasn't up. I didn't know that video.
That video don't come on till like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Let me tell you this. I didn't know
and your ass was supposed to be asleep, so you snuck and watched it.
I didn't know about that video until we had to analyze it in my Black Studies class and the effect of it on our community after that video dropped. We talked about this in a Black educational space with other Black people. Was this a white teacher? No, none of my professors were white. Okay. And I hate when people say that. My professors were Black. Okay, I had one Iranian lady.
There's a lot of white professors teaching African American studies.
I went to Cal State East Bay. At the time, it was the most diverse school in the country, and it's still a very diverse school. I'm in a Black sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho. Period. Shout out to the poodles. Period. Yep. All right. Period. I'm gonna rep my gang. Period. That's me all the time. Poodle power. All right. West Coast poodles, we in here. But yeah, I'm in a whole Black sorority. I had a very cultured experience at my school. I think that a lot of people don't know that Cal State East Bay is a hidden gem in the Bay. It really is. Because at one point when I was there,
it used to be called Cal State Herod.
It was when my parents were there. Both my parents got their degrees from there. So when I was there though, Cal State East Bay had the highest percentage of Black students of all the universities in California.
I was about to go there. They offered me scholarship. I was about to play basketball for them.
Right. We had the highest percentage of Black students. We at one point we were the only school. I don't know if it still is the same way, but we were the only school out here with all 9 of the Black fraternities and sororities in the D9. You know what I mean? People would come all the way from Santa Cruz just to come to our parties because there was no Black shit going on. You had to come to East Bay because we had the best Black parties. You want to have a Black experience, you go to East Bay and you go to their parties, you tap in with them because they're lit. That's how it always was. You know what I mean? At least for the Bay Area. Southern California has their own vibe going on, but the Bay Area, we was really, really lit. So my experience was very different. I had Black professors. That's why I shouted out Bayham, period. I'm sorry. Shout out to Cleveland too. Professor Cleveland. That's my guy. All right. I loved my department. I loved my experience. I feel like it was exactly what I wanted. I didn't know that that's what I was going to get, but it was exactly what I wanted out of a college experience. I really got to be surrounded by my people and educated Black folks. I have a whole network of educated Black people. You feel me? And when I bring those people around, I have a friend who I introduced them to some of my sorority sisters. They're like, bro, I've never met this many educated Black women. I was like, there's a lot of us. That's all I know. You know what I mean? That's my whole community. That's all I network with is educated Black men and Black women. We're locked in for life. You know what I mean? I love that experience. I love that I got that, and I'll always advocate for that. I'll always advocate for East Bay, and I'll always advocate for Black studies programs because we ain't being taught by white people. Okay, no, we are not.
In
some cases, yes, but a lot of them we're not.
I have no problem with Black people in college studying African American studies, but I don't think Black people should study African American studies in college because, first of all, you don't need to go to a college and spend all this money and time to learn about yourself and your ancestors. You can learn about that on your own. Second, if you really want to know. Second of all, let's not forget this is a school, and they're not really going to teach you the actual true history on your people. They're going to teach you what they want you to know so they can keep you. Because you can't sit here and honestly tell me that the school system is actually... When you were growing up, did they tell you the truth about George Washington?
No. Hear me out about this. Public school is glorified babysitting paid for by the government. College, you pay for that. These teachers, these professors are required to write books. They're required to do so much research. Also, when you're a student in college, what a lot of people don't know, you can go research online, but there's databases that you don't have access to unless you are a college student. And those databases have more information that you won't get unless you're a college student. And there's some databases I couldn't get into. Why? Because I didn't pay to go to UC Berkeley. So the real scam is that they want you to pay to really know more information. And That's what I saw. That was my personal experience, is that I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I can't even get access to this document that is talking about this historical moment that I need to learn about because I'm not a UC student. Like, that's not right. I didn't pay $100,000 to go to school, so I don't get to learn this information about my people. That's really what the scam is, in my opinion, from what I've learned. And also, too, there's no standardized textbooks in a college classroom like there is in a public school classroom. These professors, I had Black professors who are getting books written by other Black people, who are getting resources that are written by other Black people to teach us. You know what I mean? And I would say this, Black studies, if you're trying to go to school to make money, do not get a Black studies degree.
Exactly.
You're very limited in your opportunities. However, if you want to go to school and you want to find a way to contribute to the Black community, and that's really what you care about, then get a degree in Black studies, because it gives you a map. It gives you a timeline. It puts so much stuff into perspective. It's different when you're able to see what we've tried, what we didn't try, what didn't work, the stuff they're not going to tell you in public school, the stuff that's going to be hard to find online, when you have all this access of also being taught by elders. You know what I mean? Being taught by elder Black folks is one of the benefits of that. I love it. I had one professor that was so old. She taught African-American philosophical perspectives. She had a hearing aid and she could not hear you unless that thing was on. She was so old. And I just thought she was so amazing, because I'm like, you are in this field of philosophy that is very white run, and you're in here and you are teaching these classes. That's valuable. We have valuable elder Black folks that are putting themselves in these spaces to provide education for us. And we got to take advantage of that, rather than repeating the narrative that, oh, this is a white system that just wants to indoctrinate us. If that was the case, why do we have Black colleges? You know what I mean? And why are the Black colleges so expensive to go to? And why is it cheaper for me to go to a white one than it is for me to go to a Black one? Like, that's my question. So
they want you to go to the white one. That's why.
That's what I'm saying. So I got blessed to be able to go to a school that was the most diverse school in the country. That's why I always advocate for East Bay. If y'all really want a great college experience that's not super whitewashed PWI, go to East Bay. You know what I mean? For anybody of any race, go to East Bay. It's a very, very great experience. I love it. But
if you want to give back to the Black community and you're Black,
yes,
learn a trade. Be an electrician, a plumber. Learn a job that AI can't do. That's going to be there forever, and your job's not going to be taken from AI. And also, if you want to get back to the Black community, just fucking be a good person in the Black community. Pull up your pants, stop sagging, treat people with respect. Don't fall into the justice system. You know what I'm saying? Don't rob and steal from your own people.
I agree.
Take care of your fucking house and your community. You know what I'm saying? And that is so simple.
I completely agree, but hear me out on this. I was raised by a Black Muslim. I really love Malcolm X and his advocacy for an independent Black nation. How can we have an independent Black nation if we don't have people who are educated to be a surgeon? You need to go to college to be a brain surgeon. How am I going to trust these doctors with my body? How am I going to trust these nutritionists? How am I going to trust these scientists? They got to go learn the science. That's my point.
Well, I'm not talking about, if you want to be a doctor, yes, lawyer, yes, but Black studies, you don't got to go to fucking school for that.
As a Black, well, some people do.
I want to do music. You don't got to fucking go to college for that.
I think some people do, depending on what they want to do. So for me, I'm about to get my master's in MFT, so I can become a therapist.
Yes,
a lot of my reasoning for wanting to do this is because of what I have learned about the Black community, looking at all of the issues and seeing what's going on in the past, what's going on now. And I see that there is a big need for mental health services in the community. I want to get my degree in MFT so I can become a therapist. I want to work as a therapist, hopefully maybe start my own nonprofit where I can provide resources for Black folks to get these things. Once you learn how these systems work and you learn how things have been kind of set up historically, because Black studies isn't just history. It's understanding the psychological, the socioeconomic effects of history, you know what I mean? And how that directly affects you in every community, and how the Black perspective is not just one thing, and we're not all just the same. There's not just one way to be Black, you know what I mean? And there's so many we have debates, and I think there's power to being in a room full of Black people all around your same age, talking about these powerful topics, talking about what it's like to be a Black man, talking about what it's like to be a Black woman, talking about these differences, you know what I mean, in a healthy, facilitated manner with an elder Black person there. I think those are very powerful spaces to be in, especially when those people later on become judges and they become lawyers and they become these really big, powerful people in the community. So I think that that's what I advocate for on that aspect. I think that a lot of people shit on college nowadays. I don't think everybody's made for college and everybody's not supposed to go, but don't just shit on it. There's too many really smart people who want to be a rapper and they're not good. I'm sorry. Like there's a lot of people who are out here trying to go be an influencer and you have nobody to influence. Like go use your brain for something. You know what I mean? Use your brain. And everybody's saying, oh, F college, the white people. That's not all it's all about. You can go to a Black college if you want. You feel me?
Yeah.
Go out of the country. I don't care. But go learn something, you know?
When I say fuck college, all I'm saying is go to college if you're trying to do something that requires higher education, which is obviously a doctor, a lawyer, that type of shit. But when it comes to all this other stuff, like I know people. I work at UC Berkeley, and I know people who are there because society tells you need to go to college to be successful. These people go to college and they're fucking 18, they're choosing something, and then by the time they're 24, they're not even interested in what the fuck.
Well, UC Berkeley's a machine.
The study. Well, I'm just giving you an example of shit. Like a girl, I'm going to school for art. Like, do you really need to spend all this time and money where you time you graduate, you're really not interested in art, and now you have hundreds of $1,000s in debt because you didn't get a job throughout your college. You just kept getting loan after loan after loan. Right.
Well, I will say this. I think that you have to remember, yes, college is our business. Berkeley and those UCs and
they don't even teach you. You're in a classroom with like hundreds of people, and you're not even getting taught by the professor. It's like a fucking TA.
Cal State East Bay's teacher to student ratio is literally 30 to a teacher. So it's like it's completely different depending on where you go. Those schools that are like machines, you're literally they want you to take the information in and regurgitate it. You're literally a robot. Rather than there's different experiences. You really got to kind of like I guess go out and kind of see it more. I never had some giant lecture classroom. All of my classes were literally like 30 max. My classes were smaller than my high school classes sometimes. Like I had a lot of opportunity to have intimate experiences with my professors, and the culture of my school was very pro the students. You know what I mean? The teachers protested once so they can get better money because they felt like they were being shitted on. Administration's making more money. Y'all don't care about us. Y'all don't care about the students. And we protested with them. Like we had a whole different kind of campus over there. So I think I can only speak from my experience, and I think my experience was very, very positive. But I also know that college is not for everybody. I went to college trying to escape home. That's what I did. That's why I went to college. I needed a way out of where I was at without having to struggle. You know what I mean? And that was the easiest way out for me. And along with that, I got thrown all this new stuff that I would have never seen before if I didn't go, that made me who I am today. So I will say that sometimes it depends on the person. It's not for everybody, but for some people it is. It's like almost like a hand being held into adulthood. For somebody like me,
if you could get in that motherfucker.
Exactly. For somebody like me who had a lot of trauma, you know, coming into a space where you're not expected to just be some responsible adult right away is so much better. You know, they're teaching, you know how many people come to college don't know how to do their laundry? Don't know how to boil an egg? You know, I had to, when I was an RA, I had to make a poster to teach kids how to separate their laundry because they didn't know how to do it. Their parents did it the whole time. So like in college, like when you're a freshman, you living in them dorms and stuff, they're really teaching you how to be grown. They're really helping you into that space. For a lot of people who might not have guidance, you know, I had students who were foster kids, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people who just, you know, they grew up with a lot of struggle, very, very unstable, and college was the one place where they got to experience stability for the first time, you know?
And it's the first time them being around other ethnicities like Black people, Mexicans.
Exactly. You know so it's necessary for some people, but not everybody, you know. So
well, there's not a question that we don't love our people, but let's be realistic. I'm gonna give you an example about you know what happened in Juneteenth at the lake. So, and I love Black people, but I can't stand an ignorant nigga.
Yeah.
Why do you think every time we get together, some negative shit always happens.
We as a community have.
And when I talk about Juneteenth, because there's a lot of people who don't know shit about Oakland that listen to this. There was a big celebration at the lake in Oakland, and it ended up with gunfire. And I believe did someone get shot or killed?
I think somebody did die.
Yeah. And this is not even the first time. This shit always happens.
I was there the
shootings.
first time it happened, Juneteenth in 2021, when 7 people got shot.
Oh, so
I was there. I got trampled.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
7 people got shot?
Yeah. I haven't been back for Juneteenth since.
So it just gives ammunition to everyone else to be like, look at these people. They're animals. Every time they get together, some shit happens.
It does give them ammunition. And I will say that this is a deep-rooted, from what I've learned a lot, but I can't make any excuses. There's a deep-rooted lack of value for our own lives that we have. It's true. It's true. If you're willing to go into a space where there's a ton of black babies and shoot a gun, you don't value the safety of those black babies. You get what I mean? You heard about the shooting that happened at a football game in Oakland, at a little peewee football game, and a 4-year-old girl got shot?
I didn't hear about that.
That happened like sometime last year.
Okay.
Or maybe the year before. You'd have no value for the life of even our babies. We as a community have a psychological generational trauma that's been passed on through little things based on the things that we say to each other, the little things that you hear your parents say about other people, or I'm gonna do this to that nigga, I'm blah, 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 you know what I mean? These anger, this violence that gets passed on. It's really trauma. We have very deep trauma. When I see a lot of these young boys who are trying to be hard, I don't see hard, I see anxiety. That's what I see. These boys are anxious and scared. And that's why they're so quick to shoot, because they're anxious and scared.
Do you think today's music plays a bigger? Well, what percentage do you think the music plays?
Has a huge part. I think
like
that,
what percentage? Give me a number.
I'm gonna say, because we live in the internet age, I'm gonna say like 90%.
90%.
Only because I do a lot of online networking and promoting my own music with like on some of these streaming sites. And one of them I use Yubo. You would not believe how many of these young kids are in their mom's house, in their room, strapped up, flexing online, threatening to go pull up on somebody they're beefing with on the internet. And they're just repeating the things that they're hearing in these songs. They're dressing like the rappers that they see. They're all on these apps trying to be rappers, having these little talent shows, playing their music, and it all sounds the same. It all sounds like NBA Youngboy. It all sounds like these little drill rappers. It all sounds the same. They're all talking about ops. They're not smoking. They're all talking about, I'm sorry.
Oh, them niggas are smoking.
No, some of them are not. Some of them are at their mom's house talking about smoking ops because they're seeing it on.
Ops. I'm talking about they smoking.
No, I'm not.
Smoking.
No. I'm talking about they're smoking weed, but they're talking about I'm smoking my ops. No, you're not. You're not. You're not doing any of that. You're actually not. You're saying it in a song, and that's the reality of it. And because I see that I think what we used to call it the cool card. I think they want to be cool so bad. That's really what it is. They want to be cool. That's why they bully each other so hard. They be judging each other so hard. They be trying to force. They be trying to. I can see it's worse. It's gotten worse. I mean, every generation did it, but the social media influence has made it really worse. To the fact that these kids don't have identity. And I've had some. I've gotten the opportunity to have some deeper conversations with some of these younger folks who are like, 18, 19, 20. And they say that they're more comfortable being themselves online than they are in real life. And I don't understand that, because when I get online, I'm myself here, I'm myself there, I'm myself at home, I'm myself everywhere.
Well, these niggas are socially awkward.
They have because they grew up learning everything through the internet. Instagram didn't come out.
When the nigga was crying, their parents gave him the iPad instead of talking to him.
Exactly. And now they have social anxiety to the extreme, to the point where I like the amount, because people are really comfortable talking to me. I'd be making a lot of little friends, whatnot. We'd be having just like deep combos. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to have good conversations with good people. But when you hear what these younger folks are dealing with, it makes you really, really sad, because it's not normal. It's absolutely not normal. Their brains are being wired different, because Instagram didn't come out till I was 14, 15. I was in high school when that came out. I was outside riding bikes in middle school. We built a clubhouse in the dirt field by my house, and we used to have a little battle with these dirt bikers that would always destroy it. But we was living like the show Recess. Remember that? No. Yeah, we was out there like Recess. We was having a good time, but these kids, they don't have that. They're on tablets. I used to volunteer teach at Hayward High School, right? And I still am really connected with that teacher I used to work with, and we talk about the differences between the students, even when I was there, to now. And the fact that there's no like cliques anymore. They just go into their own little groups and then they pull out their phones and make TikTok videos at lunch. And it's like, there's no real social stuff other than a fight. You know what I mean? Like,
Nigga could have 600,000 followers on Instagram, but be alone in the class in the corner.
That's how it is. I had a student when I used to volunteer teach. She was so quiet, always sat in the back. And Miss Ball tells me, shout out Miss Ball, you know, she has like 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm like, what? What does she do? She's like, she has so much personality on YouTube, but she is so quiet at school. And I'm like, that was the first time I ever seen that. And then I seen her YouTube. I was like, this girl really out here making money on YouTube, like really making money from every video. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, it's a reality now. That's more of the norm than it is the abnorm.
What proves what you just said is when you go back further to like kids in the 60s and like the 70s or even the 50s, music back then was totally different. It was nothing but damn near everyone was making love songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the fucking the Beatles, the Temptations, Five Heartbeats, OJs, damn. Well, basically all them old motherfuckers it was all love songs, right? It wasn't no shoot 'em up. I mean, rap obviously wasn't around, but kids turn on the TV and who did the kid want to be? They wanted to be Sam Cooke. You know what I'm saying? Niggas who dress well, carry themselves respectively, right? Know how to talk to a woman. You know what I'm saying? That's who the kids wanted to be. And then life imitates art. So we didn't see all these fights in high school, kids beating up their teachers. You didn't see shootings and shit like that because life imitates art. The music was different then. And then going further through history, the 2000s came along. Then you had the Nirvanas and the grunge shit, the Limp Bizkits. And that attracted a bunch of white kids, right? In the middle of nowhere, Tennessee or some shit, who had all this rage because for whatever reason, they probably felt, oh, immigrants are coming, taking our jobs or some shit, some stupid shit, right? And then now you have Limp Bizkit who's telling you to break some shit. And then life imitated art.
One thing I will say, I think that because I grew up in a white town, I think that a lot of people think who have not grown up in a white town that them people be living perfect. Them people be fucked up. I'm sorry. They be having some effed up lives at home. They be having some really weird effed up lives on some kind of like, why is this normal? I don't know. It's really weird. They're very abnormal. So I will say that I understand that because some of these kids, like, I can't. It's white people stuff. I don't know.
Well,
we got our own traumas. They got their own, but theirs are. Now I'm gonna go do meth. Like I don't know.
And do meth and then kill themselves. The difference is these black kids are going through the same shit these white kids are going through, but the black kids are so used to it, they know how to deal with it. They think it's regular life for them.
Yes.
So it's just we're used to getting fucked with by the police. It's like an everyday thing. But then the white kid, something happens to the white kid, they're not used to it, right? And so they're like, oh shit, they're so traumatized, and then they want to go in the corner and shoot themselves. The black kid will be like, yo, this is just life. We're poor, but I'm saying blah, blah, blah.
But in a way, I'll say this. I had this conversation with my mom because both my parents made it out of the hood and raised us in the suburbs. When you make it out, which most people want to, they don't want to raise their kids in this ways that they grew up. You know what I mean? You're not raising your kids how you grew up. You're probably going to have more sensitive kids than you were. You know what I mean? They're probably going to be as sensitive as these white kids. So growing up, a lot of my trauma was because I was not as desensitized as my mom. So she did not know how to nurture me. You know what I mean? As she should have, rather than the certain love that I deserved to get because I was a child. I didn't get because she had a lot of trauma and she was very desensitized. But I was sensitized because I wasn't raised around the same trauma she had. So I think that there's a I think that's why I have kind of like have kind of an understanding for it, because when you have, I'll say this, some of those kids in the white towns that have the I will say this too. I had it too, even though I'm Black. I had a privileged perspective of seeing the world in a more positive light than somebody who grows up in the hood and has a more harder upbringing. However, I was always told about what it was like by my parents. You know what I mean? So I was always humble in a sense where I'm blessed to be able to have this experience. But when you know that that's when all you know is that, and that's just the normal, like, and you don't have parents who they made it out of something. You know what I mean? I would expect them to fall. I would expect that to be extremely heavy because my pressure was they made it out. So I always got to make sure that I don't go back. You get what I mean? Rather than they don't even know what going back is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of them have been like generations of okay. And then like they don't know what it looks like to not be okay. They don't know what it looks like to go into survival mode. They don't know. They don't have the skill for that. You get what I mean? Rather than we were raised around people who have the skill for that. So like, I think sometimes it's just inevitable based on circumstance. You get what I mean? Because I also look at things from very psychological and brain development and child development and like how you're brought up, how you view the world. Everybody's world perspective is different. We all are viewing it from a different lens, you know? So it's all about understanding like what could your lens potentially be and what could mine be, you know? Because that's how we find middle grounds. That's how we understand each other. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you see the state of music now? Do you think is there like good music, or do you think this shit is trash?
I was just talking about how like if we talk about for our community as Black folks, I am very disappointed in our music. It's trash. I'm sorry. It is. It's just like all the same stuff. We don't really have. Can we get another Queen Latifah, please? Can we get I don't know that UNITY? Like, can we get some positivity, some upliftment?
Yeah, I
mean?
don't think that's gonna happen.
You know, like it's disappointing, but part of the reason why it's very frustrating for me is because one of the things I learned in college. So genetics. You're adapted to your environment for thousands of years, you know? So even as Black folks, we may have been here for a couple hundred years, but we are still very much adapted to what we were used to for thousands of years. You get what I mean? Part of that is how we learned. We learned through music. Most of us came from West Africa, where in West Africa, they learned, a lot of tribes learned through griots, which are circles, and they would tell their stories and they would teach their teachings through music and dance. You know what I mean? And if you look at what we did as Black folks when we came here, we continued to do that. Now, when we look at, it happened in the 90s, because we seen how they made a whole movie, the NWA movie. You seen what happened when a white man took over their whole music stuff and started pushing the gangster rap whole thing. Now all of our music and all of our influences are not even owned by us. It's owned by some white folks. And the fact of the matter is we learn through this. This is how we teach our people, is through our art, through our music. That's what we did for thousands of years before we were brought here. And now we don't even own it. And we're still feeding this.
Well, that's that accountability thing you
that
say.
accountability,
I mean, they can't own it unless you sell it to them.
I mean, exactly. BT was sold. She sold that shit to white people. I was hella mad. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? And now we don't. They used to do college tours. When's the last time they did a college tour on 106 in Park?
Well, 106 is not even.
It's not even a thing no more, right?
Yeah. Stop selling your house and be mad about gentrification.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You want to make sure Granny keeps her house? Put in the work to make sure Granny keeps her house.
Or buy it from her.
Or buy it. But you got to have the means to do so. Go do something with your life. That's that accountability. A lot of people don't want to hear that.
Niggas just want the quick dollar.
Exactly. Quick, easy money. And I think when we were talking about sex work and stuff, a lot of people just want easy money nowadays. A lot of people just want to go on OnlyFans because they feel like they can go make $1 million by shaking their ass. They don't know that actually most of those girls are making money by doing privates of very inappropriate, weird stuff like pissing in diapers and shit. I know girls, and they do that for the money. But they
piss in diaper and sell.
Yeah. They people request that kind of stuff.
I need these girls on the podcast.
Huh?
I need them on the podcast.
I mean, there's girls who will be real about it. They'll be. I know, and that's why I say I respect sex work when you're being realistic. Because I know girls who will be like, listen, you don't do this unless you're willing to get down and dirty. You really want to make money? You're gonna have to do some privates of some inappropriate shit. You're not gonna be like the top earning % of OnlyFans unless you really earn that, and you're really gonna have to get down. And some people are not ready for that. I had a whole conversation with some girls. I was like, I respect y'all because you being real. You're being real about it. You got to do some shit that some people might morally find not okay, but you're willing to do it for the money, and you're gonna say that. And you know what? At least you're able to take the accountability.
And a lot of bitches do it. If you ask them, well, how did you get into this? And they say, because I needed some quick money real quick. But yeah, exactly.
Right.
But if I feel if you're going to do it once, you might as well go full on, because once you do it, your life is.
It's just there's too much that can happen to you. Look at Mia Khalifa. She still has to she only did it for 3 weeks, and now it's completely ruined her life.
I remember I saw a porn with her, and she was fucking some black dude, and I was watching that shit, and I was like, yo. It was the only time I ever seen a porn where I looked at the girl. I looked into her eyes, and I was like, it felt like she was getting raped. She did not look like she was enjoying it. Yeah. She didn't look like she wanted to be there. The look on her face was like a girl who was getting forced to do this shit. And I was like, oh, this girl does not want to be doing porn.
I seen a Twitter thread, and I think it was last year, and it was this girl who said, hey, casual sex girlies, what's it like? How's casual sex? I've never done it. And why in this thread, there's tons of girls saying, don't do it. You just feel so worthless after. You don't even feel cared about. You don't feel special. And I'm sitting here thinking, as a person who I've had casual sex, but I'm not having casual sex to feel loved. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not what casual sex is for. A lot of there as much, and this is the thing, this is what people don't want to say, and people might not like me for saying it. There's a lot of girls who are doing stuff for validation right now. They're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for validation. They're doing it for love. And that Twitter thread of how many hundreds of girls were talking about, yeah, I hate casual sex. I just feel so worthless. I feel used. What were you supposed to get out of it other than a nut? I'm confused. It's confusing for me, because if I'm going to go have casual sex, I know what I want, and I'm going to get that. I'm not sleeping with this man to make me feel beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. That's why I'm getting this. That's what you know what I mean? I know I'm beautiful. What you mean? That's not a problem. So it's so confusing to me that you can be that delusional. And to me, that shows that you don't value yourself, because you can't. How are you putting yourself in situations that you really don't want to be in that? How are you really sitting there getting fucked and you doing it again and again and again, hoping for a different reaction, different result? Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What? And so for me, I'm very accountable. I'm very big on that, because I feel like it just, I don't know, as women, we all get grouped together. It's they just be making us all look dumb sometimes. With that whole Twitter thread was just damn, women are dumb. I was what? I was so disappointed with that thread, because it doesn't make sense to me. But also, I will say, devil's advocate, society teaches us as women when we're young so much that you can either be, when we're young, we're taught you're either a good girl or a bad girl. There's no in between. You know what I mean? You're either good or bad. You're a nasty girl or you're a good girl.
Yeah.
Don't even look at your vagina. Don't even touch it. If you masturbate, oh my gosh, you're just demonic. You're gross,
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of girls struggle with that, accepting just the normal human function of their body because of the shame that comes along with it. So then it pushes them to put themselves in situations where it's oh, well, I've been hiding from this, and I've been really, really closing off this sexuality so heavily. Now I'm going to go wild. Like the church girl who goes to college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trust me, I've seen that.
I've seen it too.
Yes, the church girl that goes to college. We all seen it.
The pastor's daughter.
In the past, yes, it's always the pastor's daughter. It always is. Because they were so, put in
Sheltered,
a box.
yeah.
Exactly. Especially as women, because we have so much more of you must be clean. You know what I mean? You must be untouched, and that can really put a lot of pressure on you. I remember I was at my uncle's wedding when I was 7, and I walked down the aisle with I was a flower girl, and I had to walk down the aisle with one of the boys. We're both little kids. At the wedding reception, the parents told the boys to come ask me and my cousin to dance. The same boys that we walked down the aisle with. So we danced, literally hand in hand like this. Hecka awkward. We're all laughing and giggling. And all the parents are thinking it's, oh, look at them. Taking pictures. Bro, my dad chewed me out in that car. I'm telling you, he's don't you touch a boy. That's nasty. Don't you do that. That's a nasty girls do that. Did you wash your hands after? I remember just crying because I got in trouble and I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? And so it's those kind of things you get taught really, really young where it's oh my gosh, I touched a boy. You know what I mean? And it was so innocent, and I love my dad, but that's part of reality of how society has taught us to be and teach,
Did your mom talk to you about sex and all that shit when you were young?
She told me not to go out there and have sex and get pregnant, and that yeah, she said not. She told me not to go out there and have sex.
Were you
and get
allowed to
pregnant.
date in like
Hell
high
no.
school?
I had secret boyfriends.
So you was ratchet out in the streets.
Nah, my little boyfriend was a little emo boy. Well, he was a metalhead, and we both played guitar together at school all the time. You're gonna laugh at me. My first boyfriend in high school was a white guy, but I was a senior though, and he had a crush on me since middle school, and I was not giving him a shot. But then we became really, really good friends, and I was like, okay, I kind of like you, personality wise. Attraction wise, really wasn't that attracted, but I was like, I really like your personality. Like we get along. And we would play guitar together, and he was a metalhead, and I was a little emo kid, and like we would talk about our favorite bands, and he would give me CDs, and I'll give him a CD. Like, listen to my favorite band. Like, I'll listen to your favorite band. Like, it was just like, a little fun thing, But I don't know. My mom, her experience growing up in the hood was like, girls be out here trying to be fast. I wasn't really on that. I was suburban. I was on some like Disney Channel movie romance type shit. I was trying to be like Demi Lovato and Joe Jonas in Camp Rock. That's literally my favorite movie. And actually, me and that guy I was dating both got voted most likely to be a rock star senior year. So we're in the yearbook together, even though we had broken up at that time. We're in the yearbook together, got voted in. So it was kind of like, a little those like all American little high school movie kind of like situations. That's kind of what it was. It was cute.
Would you? I don't really consider like high school, middle school relationships.
No, that wasn't real.
When it comes to like,
it
when
wasn't
I ask
real.
someone like your dating history, that's some bullshit. But I would not say bullshit, but you know what I'm saying. But would you? I don't know if you only date a certain race now, but would you ever marry a white man?
No. No. That was I was in high school. I was young as hell. I was in a white town, right? And I was emo. The black boys did not like me. They was not feeling me.
Yeah.
It's what it was.
You date what you're around.
You date what you're around, you date what likes you.
Yeah.
And who was always on my dick? White boys. I mean, even to this day, I'm not even attracted to white men, but everybody, they look at me and I've been told by like even my own sisters that I look like I date white men. Do I look like I date white men?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, what is I don't
know what that means, but that's what I get told.
Yeah, I don't feel like anyone looks like they date somebody.
Exactly. So that's sometimes I think depending on people's perspective of the world, I kind of get boxed in, but like, no, that was just my experience. Once I kind of got out of that really small space and I was around more black folks and different black folks and everything, it was like, oh, wow, what a relief. Like there's options for me. Yeah. So yeah, no, personally, I prefer black men. Why
wouldn't you date a white? I mean, why wouldn't you marry a white man? Culture. I love being black. I want my kids to be black. I was raised to love myself. I grew up with black love. Both my parents, two black people, had a beautiful wedding. You know what I mean? Like we grew up middle class before the housing market crashed. So we had a timeshare in Newport Beach. We would go to Disneyland every summer. We would go to Tahoe every winter. We had timeshare in Tahoe. So it was like, we went camping every fall. We had a very, almost like a movie like white movie, but we were black. You know what I mean? And I was surrounded by other black love, like my godparents. They've been married forever. They're so beautiful. Two black people. They moved to Georgia. They have a nice house together. They had two sons together. R.I.P. to my brother Kadeem. And shout out to my brother Khalil. But they had two amazing sons together. And even my brother Khalil, like we value black love because that's all we knew. I grew up around middle-class black families who had two black parents. Even in Antioch at the time, before the housing market crash, and Antioch kind of went downhill. At first, it was full of middle-class black families. So one of my homegirls, I remember my homegirl around the corner, Naya, she had a pool. You feel me? I didn't have a pool. We couldn't have a pool. They didn't trust us. But she had a pool. I would go over there and swim with her in her pool. I think she had a little fluffy white dog or something. But like, we were suburban black kids. And it was just normal to just have a normal, nice life in a nice house. And it was normal for us, So for me, that's my perspective. I see that as a reality. I see that can be real. And that's one of the most beautiful things because I loved seeing my parents love. I loved that. I did, and I want that. Black women, I don't want to group all of y'all together, but the majority, when people group black women together, because they do research and the majority of the people, so that's why they say majorities, but so black women always have a problem with black men marrying white women. Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Like when you see NBA players and like the whole team will be black and they take a family picture with the whole team and you have the whole
I mean-
team black, but all their wives are white.
I think it's funny. For me, I'm not bitter about it because I mean, if that's what you want, I don't want you. It's that simple. I'm not tripping. Do your thing. I'm not tripping. Like, okay, you got to remember, black people in America, we only make up 13% of the population. We could wash out all you want. We are not most of the black people in the world. Black people are still going to exist. You get what I mean?
But
Africa is a whole continent.
That's the problem. If we only make up 13% in America, and then you choosing to procreate with a white person, isn't your job as a black man to reproduce your own race? I mean, not race, but your own ethnicity.
I mean, I think I don't know. I think that I'm not really big on racial politics in that way. I'm more on culture. For me, it's culture. For me, it's
so you don't give a fuck. That's what you're saying.
I don't care what they do. For me, it matters to me. I'm black, so I want to have somebody who is black with black culture. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about black American culture. You know what I mean? Every black culture is not the same. You got Jamaican culture, you got Haitian culture, you got Nigerian culture, you got Ghanaian culture. There's all these different types of cultures. I want a black American man. That is what I want because I'm a black American woman. That's what I want. There's some people, Jamaican girl, she might want a Jamaican man. You feel me? She might just want a Caribbean man in general. You know, people have their options. I think it's more about culture. That's me. And culturally, I don't mix with white folks. Like, I will say that I think I would do well with another black person who grew up in the suburbs like me. Maybe they also had the similar experiences so that we can actually relate on that. And we might have a more similar perspective in the world. But I can't date somebody who's self-hating and black because I did grow up around a lot of that in the white towns where there's a lot of self-hating coon behavior. You know what I mean? I would never do that.
You think you could find a black emo man?
I think I could. I think a lot of them date white girls.
Oh, you fucked up then.
I don't care though. I mean, you don't gotta be emo though. Like, I don't really care. Like, as long as you accept me for me and I accept you for you, you have good morals. You believe in God. You know what I mean? You believe in structure and stability, you know, you have faith in having a positive life, you know what I mean? You really view, you know, like, you know, you have a plan, you know what I mean? Like that's really what matters to me. I don't care what music you listen to. You don't have to like what I like. Yeah. You know, just accept me. That's it. And I'll accept you. That's all. You know, we ain't got to dress the same. That's corny. That's high school. It is. Come on, we're grown.
What are you working on now?
So right now I took a little break to focus on getting my grad school application together, the essays and the letters of rec and all of that. And that's going to be getting turned in by next week. So boom. I did work on, I started dabbling a little bit more in R&B. I used to make a lot of R&B back when I was younger. I stepped away from it just because I don't really like the R&B world. But I did start dabbling a little bit more just for fun. And then, yeah, for the most part, trying to just do some more shows, work on some more music, work on some more collaborations. I have some more, there's a couple artists that want to do some work, couple producers that want to do some work. And so just kind of exploring new outlets, if that makes sense. I've been in a really networking zone, so I've been working with a lot of new people, and I really do want to explore. I love making rock music, and that's always what I'm going to be. I'm always going to be a little emo kid at heart, but I don't mind dabbling in any other place. I love art, you know what I mean? So if I go and I hop and, you know, I have a friend, Dila, shout out to Dila. He's a EDM DJ, and we collabed and we made a little EDM song. It's not out yet, but I did some vocals for a little EDM song. So, you know, I'm really big on like, you know, collaborative art and just kind of trying to create something new and fresh and fun, and me add my little twist on there, my little emo twist on there, and you add whatever you bring to the table, and let's just see what we can make, you know? So right now I'm really in a realm of trying to get out there more and socialize more, especially because I was in a very, dealing with a lot of anxiety for a long time. Started taking some anxiety medication for it that has very, very much been helpful, and it's allowed me to be a lot more social. So now I'm able to network how I know I can network, you know? So
where can people hear your music?
All platforms. So Sadho the Goddess, that's SADHEAUX, The Goddess, on all platforms, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, all of that. So
if someone was to ask you a question, which I'm asking right now, if you had to tell one person, if one person came up to you and be like, give me one song that you've done to listen to that would explain you, what type of artist you are.
Already Dead, featuring
Already
Key
Dead?
Drip. Yep. Shout out to Keidra, it's my bestie from Tennessee. But yeah, Already Dead.
And why would you tell that person to listen to that song?
I think I'm proud of Already Dead. I put a lot of work into that. And I think that song is a reflection of my strength.
Okay.
And I'm proud of how strong I am. Been through a lot.
Do you have any social medias you want to share with the people?
You can follow me on Instagram, sadho.tg. So that's SADHEAUX.tg. And it's the same thing on TikTok without the dot. SADHEAUXTG. Yeah, YouTube, Sadho the Goddess. You can find me there. Yeah, that's all I really use, Instagram and TikTok for real. I have a Facebook page. You can follow that.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. Enlightening conversation.
Thank you.
Learned
we went
a lot.
On a lot of different routes here. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that you know more than one thing.
Yeah.
Everybody go stream her music. Look her up. Follow her on Instagram, whatever. All you niggas trying to start a band and need a lead singer.
Tap in. I'm a songwriter too.
Yeah.
I write hits.
Mm-hmm. Any last words?
Thank you for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate the opportunity to get up here and have a really nice conversation and put myself out there more. So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And everybody stay blessed. Love God.
This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast, and we are out.
Peace.
You.